for years. That was kind of my ignorant moments when we came back. I was like, Jayon, who's that? And he's like, well, he's been playing Brood War for years while you were off in StarCraft 2 land. I was like, okay, pretty cool. And there is this like dragon. There's these cool players that popped up and are legitimately good. I was really blown away by his skill at Zotac. It's fun to watch. My want and desire, and there is still time, and this is the recalibration that has to happen, though, by the way. You're not going to ever host a Brood War tournament that's going to have 100,000 eyes outside of Korea. You just aren't. And that's okay. Like, God damn it, I want to shake all the rich, fucking, probably white, stupid-ass sponsor people that are just like, is it Fortnite? Nah, okay, never mind. No, come back. Listen, 30,000 in the age bracket, like a Brood War viewer is 25 to 35, if not older, for fuck's sakes. They have jobs, they have money, and they have passion for this game. And in the RTS scene, it's down to StarCraft Remastered, StarCraft 2, and Warcraft 3 in China. That's it. Like, those are your RTSs. So you got people that want this content, know they're not going to fill up Key Arena, and they're not going to have a $24 million prize pool, but they're going to have 30,000, and if you build it, 40, 50,000. It is possible, by the way. And it doesn't have to be expensive, and you're going to have this game. And here's the thing that haunts me, and I'm going to be so sad if this never gets, like, capitalized on, but every time I see Brood War content and I look at the comments and I look at what people are saying, they're like, hey, I haven't seen this shit in years. I don't know what's going on, but it's really fun to watch, and oh my god, that was cool. I hear that all the time. Like, Brood War is in the same situation as Melee, which is really weird, where it's this old fucking game that is still entertaining as fuck to watch even now. Right. And that's not true with everything, by the way. And if you're like, Jeff, of course it is. Go play GoldenEye right now on your Nintendo 64. GoldenEye. I have put... That was a game I played 6-7 hours a day, guys. I played it more than Brood War. I went back and played it a little while ago because I was a god at that game, and I was like, oh, I'll fucking play it again. You fucking take a knee and float across the floor, and to aim up, you have to, like... It's inverted and shit, so it was the worst, okay? Brood War is hard, and we love it for that, but it is so... smooth and awesome and still fun to watch for even people that don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, about your age bracket item, God, I'm going to keep talking about How About You.
No, please do.
One of the things about I've been doing with Matcherino is, I open up my tournaments to Matcherino. These are, like, this is one of the things that I've been trying to, like, build into, like, a slide deck. So I'm like, hey, somebody, like, sponsor me. Every single tournament, I've been getting at least $100 donated for my bi-weeklies. Some days I've been getting upwards of $300 donated from just people just watching just a bi-weekly. So this is like an age bracket that sponsors, if you're listening, are a bunch of people who want to spend a lot of money for things that they like.
Yep.
So if you're like someone who has really cool stuff, that might be good for Brood War players. It's really interesting because Melee and Brood War actually one of the things that I like to draw the parallel between them is I think when people watch Melee though, they look at it and they're like, oh, it's exactly like how me and my friends used to play back in college. And then you go and play Melee and you're like, how are they doing the things that they do? They're playing so fast. And Brood War, it's a lot more on the surface. I don't know how these players are playing with like 400 APM and all this stuff. Like I could never play like that. I played UMS maps, which might be the thing that like kind of intimidates people a little bit more, which is why they don't like jump into the game. Especially when you actually go and play Brood War and you realize how incredibly hard the game is.
Right.
This is like one of the weird things that I've always kind of been like, okay, I can see why not everybody jumps back into Brood War, but like Melee is a little bit of an easier thing to consume. But I don't know, people still watch a ton of Brood War. I do. So hopefully it can get back into somewhat around like 30,000, I'm hoping, viewership at some point.
Yeah. Actually, something I've noticed with Brood War that I have a little bit of a hard time with, that I think is a little bit of a problem in the scene right now, is our hub used to be Team Liquid. Yeah. And it is still actually the hub for Brood War, but it's not as good as it used to be. It's turned a little bit weird for the Brood War section. Like it's still got the most news. Barely anything gets onto StarCraft Reddit. The Brood War Reddit is dead as
non-existent.
Yeah, right. So it's like we get a lot of viewers for these tournaments and stuff, but not a lot of people really use Team Liquid for communicating.
Yeah.
There is that Foreigner Brood War Discord that I've tried to talk about occasionally, which is pretty good. But yeah, just overall, it feels like there's no real, no very big sense of community. Maybe like within stream chats or something like that for a tournament, you get a little bit more. But yeah, it's just I feel like StarCraft 2 is centralized, right? Team Liquid's used a little bit, Reddit's used a ton, Twitter's used a ton. For Brood War, it's kind of like, well, we're kind of in a Discord and kind of on Team Liquid.
Yeah, I think the community part's probably like a tough aspect. I mean, even for like the newer players too. I mean, Discord's great and all. I mean, I'm kind of in and I don't really participate too much, but I would say like, yeah, I think Team Liquid there should be a place where everyone can kind of just congregate together. And honestly, I think it'll be like, I personally think that if the actual BattleNet channels were a little bit better organized, like for example, you know, I was talking to like TT1 the other day where like, it'd be nice if you just had like rank channels or something. I don't know, like channels where people go and just ask, you know, like play some 2-on-2s or like get some practice games in. But there's just like, there's no, I don't know, like I have friends who used to play the game that, you know, they're not on Discord or something like that. They come on, they just have no friends that are online and they just feel lonely. They just like ladder and they're like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, they're not good enough to like join a tournament. But so there are a lot of people like that where, you know, I think they do kind of want that sense of community. And StarCraft is a game where, like you guys said, it's a really hard game, but it's also very rewarding. And it kind of goes back to like that, you know, you guys are saying like, you know, even for like the top players, like, yeah, we want to be recognized, we want to be rewarded. And even in like the smaller sense too, like just having 2 or 3 friends, you know, like improving or pulling off a sick play. And it's like, oh, that was cool. Like, I think that is a huge part of it too. I think it can be improved. I don't know exactly how, but I would say the community is a little disjointed. You know, I think all the top people kind of know each other, but I'm talking about all the people who are getting into and all the people kind of like trying to improve too.
And we used to have giant gathering channels. Like, can you get a bot onto the current BattleNet? Because it would be like you'd go to like Optot or, you know,
X17,
Clans X17. Yeah. And there was just like several channels that if you were really into Foreigner Brood War, this is where you went, right? When you're on BattleNet. It's like, and the next step in your friendship with someone would be getting their MSN or ICQ. You know?
Yeah.
But that was like kind of where you would congregate quite a bit because people played a lot because there was no VODs to even watch back then. But I think that would be a cool thing to do, is to make some channels that people actually go to.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are some channels out there, like, you know, I'm part of a couple, but I mean, they're more or less just like friend channels. You know what I mean? Like if you're part of this circle and then some people come in randomly, but there isn't like well, I don't want to say a Clan X17. I mean, just like other channels out there. And what's different about this day is that there is Discord, right? There is, which is good in many ways. But back then, like I used to sign on StarCraft when I came home from school because my friends were there. That was my social media platform. Whereas here, you can just chill on Discord, and then you could just like, you don't have to be on StarCraft. You don't have to be playing the game.
I agree with everything you guys are saying, but it's actually almost like a symptom of the changing of the times that make it challenging, right? Like, Brood channels were where you used to go. That was just what you did. Nobody had a Discord. Skype wasn't even a thing back then. You had like Ventrilo, where your friends were in there, or MSN, some of that kind of stuff. But now everything is so decentralized, right? Like even Discord, which is kicking ass and it's a really awesome big thing. There's still people who are like, no, I don't do Discord. Like I'm on Skype. And that's just what I do, or whatever. But I don't blame Blizzard for that. We talked about that in StarCraft 2 times because that was before I think people got decentralized with where they go. I do think there obviously would be a benefit for a bigger community that way, but I think for me a lot of that goes to what Dan was saying too, which is like if they were to try to organize a place where it's like, hey, are you new to StarCraft? Go to this place. This is where people are, and then you'd actually have to like funnel energy into that. You'd have to coordinate producers of content or people that are like interested in helping those people out, and you have to populate that place. You can't just make the channel and then What'll happen is the 5 or 6 people pop in there, see nothing's happening, pop out. Never again will they ever go back. So it would take a community manager, it would take effort, and it would take work. And then it would take the willingness to commit resources. And I'm not just talking about manpower. I mean, like, the StarCraft Twitter would have to talk about it. The StarCraft 2 launcher would have to talk about it. You could send out that email that goes out to everyone every time Overwatch takes a shit on anything, and we all get to read that, and we're like, oh, cool. That kind of stuff, that kind of resource. And I feel like, without knowing, by the way, it's just my opinion and my experience, it feels like nobody at Blizzard or elsewhere was willing to take up StarCraft Remastered and be like, no, this thing's amazing. I'm gonna really back it and drive this up. Like, nobody did. And I get a lot of angst every time we did our events from just kind of angry StarCraft Remastered viewers, and I get it. Like, I understand, because they're kind of the forgotten people. Like, this game that they love so much, and I even get the angst towards like people like me and stuff that moved on to StarCraft 2. I understand. I'm just saying that it's really frustrating because this second wave, this like resurgence, which is this new thing, right? Like, people are remastering games and they're actually quite popular and doing well. It happened, but for StarCraft Remastered, Team Liquid, Blizzard, nobody really picked it up and said, let's really get behind this. And to be fair, by the way, Blizzard kind of did, so I don't want to make it sound like they're this evil monster. They did put on some cool events, and we really appreciate that. And, you know, it was fun, and they did it right. I'm just asking for more, which makes me sound petulant. I get it, but I do want more, you know?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. How many people know about the SE Remastered Pro Series that's going on right now, and how many people are actually following it? Because that's technically sponsored by Blizzard for the foreigner scene, and it's like a $1,500 prize pool over, like, you know, I think it's 60-some days now, or 30-some days.
That's sponsored by Blizzard? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's sponsored by Blizzard. And, like, I see nothing about it. I keep forgetting about it. I keep forgetting about it. I'm only following one goddamn game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Something like that should probably hit the launcher more often or something, because I see that launcher every day, you know. And but this is part of the problem, that we don't have a centralized location for Brood War as well. I think, because once upon a time there might be a website, and I go there and they're like, oh, here there's some little article or a little news post on the results, and it's. I mean, I scour those Brood War forums trying to get this news, but it's a little bit, everything's so disparate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other problem with like going to the centralized idea, and we say Reddit, is that any single time that Brood War comes up on Reddit, oh my God, it's like there's 30,000 StarCraft 2 people being like, I don't see why this content's up here. I hate Brood War. Brood War's a dead game. There's nothing about that. And then you have a whole bunch of Brood War people being like, your game's stupid, and everything you care about is dumb. And it's just like, because it always becomes like some sort of giant SC2 versus SC Brood War like fight. So like Brood War people don't really want to post on like the StarCraft Reddit. I don't know where to post stuff really, except for Team Liquid, and that's like the worst part.
Yeah.
I don't know how to promote like other like content or anything.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult, like between the Discord and Team Liquid, and then your Twitter account. It's like, well, I mean, we don't have a great answer, because StarCraft Reddit's done really well for StarCraft 2, I think, overall.
Yeah.
Like it's not a great place to store information long term, but we have Liquipedia for that. And then in Brood War, it's like even the Liquipedia is updated very, very slowly compared to StarCraft 2, which is fine. You know, StarCraft 2 is a bit bigger in the foreign scene for sure. But yeah, I guess I don't have that many answers, mostly just complaints and sadness.
Well, I mean, like, this is the thing where, you have to discuss what's wrong to figure out what the solution should be.
Yeah.
I honestly think a lot more Brood War people should be getting on Twitter. I think it would be a really healthy way for, like, all of the people who have, been on Twitter for different scenes to be able to cross-promote a lot more. But there's like, no Brood War people on Twitter. I mean, and the people that are on Twitter, like, barely use it. I don't know. Right. I think there's a lot of things that we could do just to solve the issues, but it requires a lot of like congregated thinking, and we don't really have a congregation point to really do that.
Well, there is a thread on Team Liquid for the Pylon show, so if you're listening and you're an avid Brood War fan, please let us know what you think and post in the comments there. And then, of course, this will be up on Artosis TV on YouTube, and I always read those comments. God help me. But
I don't know why you do it.
I do. Every
Oh my
time.
God! When I was in Korea, I was reading your comments to the the threads. It was awesome. It was a lot of entertainment.
I was born a troll, man. There's this. I still have to like walk my fields and my pastures, and I have to feed them basically. But anyways, my point is keep the discussion going. Let us know. Dan and I are super passionate Brood War people. We'll keep doing what we can. And the nice thing about this, and if Melee taught us anything, it's like it's almost never too late, man. Like it could happen still, and it still can happen. It's not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know I've been like complaining about a lot of things, but I you know, the way that I see it is, I think there's a lot of opportunity in Brood War. Like you guys said, when you have these big events, there's a lot of viewers, and like, it's an entertaining game, and there's things that can be improved. But at the same time, I'm pretty happy about the new ladder. Actually, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, like one thing what's weird is that I actually never match against Europeans. I either get North Americans or get all Koreans. And then when you move up the MMR ranks, then it's basically all Koreans, which is great. I get to practice against them. But overall, I mean, it's been pretty awesome. I think it's kind of generated a lot of new hype. I've been really pleased with the experience despite all the complaints. And I think just like I definitely do think there is room for growth. I mean, like even doing these team battles, we're kind of organizing like the continent battles, like North America versus Europe that we did like a month ago. Now we're also organizing like a North America versus South America thing. And those kinds of things are awesome because now we're kind of rallying up the North American troops and we're like, yeah, we do want to beat Europe, or we do want to beat South America. You know, we kind of have like these, informal battles where we kind of like incite that interest, because I think within North America, it does get kind of dry at the higher levels. I mean, a lot of us do play, but a lot of us already know that, like, you know, there's people out there that, you know, they could take a break for 2 months, but they know that if they just practice for 3 weeks, if for a big tournament, they'll be back in the running. You know what I mean? So there's like no crazy incentive for them to like continuously get better. But at the same time, even just having, but I don't know. I mean, it's been great. I mean, I think the foreign Brood War scene has been it's been growing. I can't say it's thriving. I can't say that, you know, from a numbers perspective we're hitting anything like StarCraft 2, but it's been growing, and I think there's definitely promise and opportunity there.
I mean, Python was commenting on the CPL because I mean, I was talking to him last night, and he was just like, "How did I get 3 pages of signups in like 4 hours or something like that?" He was just like, he was stunned the amount of people that signed up for CPL already, and he's like, "And I'm keeping this thread open for 2 weeks," and I'm like, "Yeah, good luck, buddy. It's gonna be a lot of fun." But I think, especially with the new ladder, I agree. Like, I think there's a lot of people coming back. It was getting really desperate right before the new ladder hit.
It was
like MMR was shrinking ridiculously, and the windows were getting really like drastic. But I think now it's in a really good spot. Like when I play, I generally get a lot of people who are actually around my level, except for when Jaeyoon is smurfing. But it's doing well.
Well, like I said, keep the discussion going, guys, and we'll of course keep talking about Brood War. In fact, even in this next topic, we'll be talking about the KSL round of 8.
KSL. Nice. Yeah, it begins tonight, actually. I'm going to be going up through a hurricane to Cassis, apparently. But we have our round of 8 for KSL. Oh, that's a great discussion, guys. Thank you for that. But I don't know if you guys have been watching KSL, but it's looking pretty sick right now. We have on one side of the bracket, Rain versus Best and Snow versus Jaedong. That's 3 Protosses and Jaedong on one side. That's a little bit exciting for me. On the other side, Sulky versus Sharp and Harangi versus Last.
Well, rip Jaedong.
Think so?
Really?
What?
Really?
Jaedong is going to eat Snow. It's
Snow, sure, but Rain is going
Rain's
to
pretty
just
good.
walk over Jaedong.
Yeah.
Rain's going to walk over Best. Rain's going to go to finals.
Now, you know how there's like this kind of like small meme about StarCraft 1 elitists or something that come into like a StarCraft 2 chat and like talk about, StarCraft 1's the game. I think the finals of KSL is going to be Rain versus Sulky, two StarCraft 2 champions. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they're the best 2 players in the tournament. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Can we just shout out to Rain? Like, has been playing StarCraft 2 for so long. All of a sudden, just swaps to StarCraft Brood War. Happens to be like the second best like Brood War player recently.
It's wild.
And won ASL 5.
Yeah.
He's all right.
It makes sense. He was my favorite StarCraft 2 player when he played StarCraft 2. His Protoss was just like, God. He does it in Brood War too. It's so fun. He's just like observer control. Just like, I just see you. What are you doing? Okay, I'll just do it better now. And you're like, like the whole time. And towards the end of his StarCraft 2 career, he started to actually mix in timings, and his results got a little bit more sporadic, but it made him a scarier opponent, I think, because he could default to a safe play style, and that was just really tough to deal with. But then also, you could be like, well, he's going to play safe, so I'm going to be aggressive, and then that's when this like fucking crazy 2-base all-in shows up. But it's fun. He actually, one of my favorite things, I watch a lot of Brood War streams, he's one of the guys, god damn, he trains with everybody. Every Zerg, every stream I turn on, I'm like, who are they playing? And the chat's just like, Rain. It's a different name every time, but it's Rain. He's just out there training with these, I mean, I'm sure now he's practicing PvP, but I see him in all the streams. It's really cool. Game after game.
Well, he's looking good, man. But it's a pretty sick bracket, though, because I look at this, guys, and there's a non-zero chance that Jaedong wins KSL. I just want to say how
possible, yeah.
Like him versus Sulky in the finals, he can do it.
If he gets Sulky in the finals, yeah, but that's only because Sulky sucks.
Well, Sulky's already in the finals, guys. Look at that side of the bracket.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. There's no issue here.
Well, I mean, I think if Last can like turn, I mean, for some reason, I just feel like Last can't perform in these. I mean, he's had some good victories, but like he's super solid off, online. But these
Sulky.
Yeah, but I really expect Sulky to advance. But I'm really interested in that top bracket too. I really do hope that Jaedong can take down Snow, so we can see another epic ZVP. And I don't know what his like health is like. Like sometimes when I watch that series versus Flight, I mean, I was super hyped. Like I haven't been hyped like after a win for like the Zerg race for a long time. And I don't know. It's like, does he actually get tired? Like his eyes during a game? Like I remember. You know how they had that, what was it, that Bisu versus Jaedong thing at that Blizzard event?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I don't know. It's like sometimes I look at his eyes and like they're just watering up. It just looked like he wanted to just not be there and just like ling all in like 2 or 3 times. Like, is that actually something? I don't know if you know more, Artosis.
I haven't talked to him about that, but it seems like he was going through a hard time. He was announcing his retirement there and stuff, and then Beeson wrecked him. And I mean, here he is in the round of 8, and seems like a bit of a resurgence. So
he also just qualified for ASL as well. So I mean, he's
which is our next topic. Let's go into it. ASL Season 6. The qualifiers just finished. I actually went to 2 of them. It was really fun.
You got a video?
And I did do it for the money. Yeah, I put a video on my YouTube if you guys want to see the replays that I go over. I saved all my replays, but I traveled to Gwangju and to Busan, and it goes back to what we were talking about before. It cost me like $300 to go down and travel and stay in hotels and go on trains and stuff, but and I knew I wasn't going to any money. I knew I wasn't going to qualify, but it was fun to go down and just have something to train for and try it out.
You're a Warrior player now, Dan.
Yeah, or a Brood War player once again.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, the qualifiers are done. We did have our seeds in with Rain, Snow, and Mini, and we had the wild card match to replace Hero, who had to go to the military for his service. He did announce that he will be back to Brood War after his service, so that's great to have that Zerg player back. But Flash won that over Shuttle and Mind. Kind of the interesting thing is that Larva refused to play in that wild card and didn't play in the qualifiers. And Larva's level is such that he just gets in if he plays. Will win one of the qualifier tournaments. He's that good.
Yeah, there was a rumor about that before this all started going on, and that was just because he said that he didn't like want to deal with the stress of ASL, right?
That's what I heard as a rumor, but I haven't seen him in a while. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But Larva did not try out, so that's kind of wild. Looking at who did try out though, for our qualified list, first off, the racial distribution is insane. 9 Protoss, 9 Terran, 10 Zerg.
That is the coolest thing. Was the first qualifier in Seoul, only 1 Protoss out of 5 Terrans and 6 Zergs got through. But after the other 2 qualifiers, it still evened out to be 9, 9, 10.
Yeah, that happened last time with Terran, where like the first 2 qualifiers, no Terrans won, except for like, Flash already had a seed, so there was like maybe 1 Terran got through, and then the last qualifier, like 4 Terrans got through, and it's like, oh, thank God.
Right.
Under the wire. But
no, I think it's a great time for Protoss, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, like, Terrans, Terrans are, like you said, I think last, maybe ASL 4, I forget which one, but like there was a point where it was like the time of the Zergs. I mean, like there's like a few month period where just like, especially with Larva around, Heroes doing really well, obviously Sulky. But now I just feel like, man, these Protoss are like, they're rolling. I mean, I just feel like they just play with so much confidence. Like they have all these really crazy aggressive builds. I mean, especially like PBT, like they use all these speed shuttles. I mean, they get really creative with that stuff. And I actually just watched earlier today or yesterday, mini 5-0'd Flash. I'm like, what? Like he was, and I was watching him. He was just like messing around. He's not going to do that probably in a real tournament, but I think like just the confidence level of Protoss has just been increasing, and like I think that makes a huge difference. Like just like that mental game, like knowing that you can beat these players, kind of breaking down, all that stuff. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy, the resurgence of Protoss overall, and like it's probably the strongest time Protoss has ever had in the 20 years of Brood War.
Right
now, I think.
Yeah.
I've been like, well, so for KSL, I was kind of thinking that was happening just because there was just such a lack of Zergs. There was only like 3 Zergs that got through to the round of 16. And I typically, I don't know, maybe it's just like the way that I look at things. I typically think that Zergs keep Protosses in check, Protoss keeps Terran in check, and Terran keeps Zerg in check. But now I don't know, and like my theory seems to be thrown out of a loop because like there's 10 Zergs in ASL 6. Well, and I look at these names and I'm like, these are actually all pretty good names.
I think that part of it is the map pool too, because you always see the map pools change based on what race is doing well or poorly. And as soon as I saw Blue Storm as the first map, I was like, oh, the Protoss are doing too well lately. They need the Zergs to come through. That was exactly what I looked at right there. But a cool thing about the ASL qualifier is the ACS occurred recently. It's like the Africa TV Challenge Star League or something like that. ACS, I don't know. Whatever it stands for, it's an amateur league at Africa, right? And they had 4 qualifiers around the country. Those 4 players that won the qualifiers got coached by pro gamers and then played a tournament on Africa. And the winner, who of course was coached by Flash, and the runner-up, a Zerg player, so a Terran and a Zerg, from that tournament, both qualified for ASL.
Wow.
These are non-Kespa pros. These are people who've never been pros before, never been in a pro tournament before, and here they are, which is really cool.
Is that Buell and Yerim too?
Yes.
I was about to say I have no idea who they are, but I guess
it's okay because neither does Liquipedia.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. It's really cool to show that a lot of skills still growing in Korea. So the ASL, ASL season 6 starts September 2nd, and of course Tasteless and I will be casting that. So tune in. And I think that's all of our main topics. Look at that.
As always, guys, just a reminder, like I said, there's a thread on Team Liquid you can post there. I always appreciate it. I mean, we always appreciate when we see someone make a thread on Reddit for the show, and I always check the comments there as well. We ourselves can't make that thread because there's some rule about not promoting your own content or whatever.
God forbid, right?
And then on YouTube, I read all the comments there. So if you're hearing this, you're enjoying it, and you're wondering where to keep it going, of course, the Discord is another place. There's a lively discussion in there all the time. With that being said, speaking of Discord, let's take it over to the questions in the Discord.
Yeah.
And there are some good ones, by the way. I am loving that for whatever reason, there is a growing... I'll take it, Cobra. Thank you. There's a growing culture of questions about sentient food. And I'll tell you what, guys. we will have Rotterdam on the show, and if we don't spend at least 2.5 hours asking him about various different foods and their interactions should they come to life, he'll be extremely fucking disappointed, all right?
It's up to you guys to put those questions in there.
It's up to you guys. Okay, so we're going to do some questions here. Stay sharp, Sham2 and Jaeyoon, because some of these could bounce back and hit you right in the face. And we got a lively audience here, so let me take a look here. I believe I'm at the top. Okay. Cake Machine asks, proper question. If you could assimilate one professional StarCraft 2 player's abilities and skill set for the following, or for playing the game, whose would it be and why? No so proper question. Do parrots need to practice the human words they speak, or do they just nail it the first time? Skews a pretty squirk boy, then. So first question, guys, if you could take the powers of some professional player, what part of them would it be and why?
Dark.
Just all of it? You take all of Dark?
All of Dark. Dark's ability to counter with Zergling. That is like my favorite thing to watch Dark do.
Dark, the StarCraft 2 player, Sham?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a StarCraft 2 question, right? I thought it was a StarCraft. Oh, it was just StarCraft in general.
It does say StarCraft 2. You're right.
Yeah, well, I was listening.
See, now,
no, I hope so, man.
As a Brood War guy, I would have read that just as a Brood War guy. I would have been like, fuck StarCraft 2, man. I hate that game. I'd be like, the answer is Rain. Right, Flash. Okay, Dan, what part of Flash would you take?
Yes.
What part?
Yeah, that's what the question is.
How
you can assimilate one professional StarCraft 2 player's abilities and skill set for playing the game. Whose would be and why? Well, I guess
okay, well, if it's... Yeah, that's what I think. But, well, if it's StarCraft 1, it's just like his SCVs. The production, the movement. He's the best with workers in the world, so that's what I would do.
Someone's offering you the power of the world, and you take his ability to control SCVs?
Dude, SCVs are broken.
100%.
SCVs are broken.
But that includes
your SCVs perfectly.
The SCVs and sending them to mine, getting them to build buildings, getting them out of your mineral line. These are the hardest things. Listen, man, I know that you only have 10 drones, okay, and 3 buildings, okay? I know you're never pulling your drones. When you pull your drones to fight, you've already lost the game, Jeff. Not me. I have to pull them all the time, okay?
Dan, I'm so sorry. Whoever wounded you so many years ago, man, it's so...
Well, you're one of the people, actually, so...
Yeah, well, that's fair, you know.
But, okay, so for a StarCraft 2 player...
So it's like, if you could have any food in the world, what would it be? And Dan's like, just a well-cooked Hot Pocket, you know, just like a... just microwaved correctly. It's got the little cardboard thing. It's inside.
Ground banana.
I don't think anybody's ever had, like, a well-cooked Hot Pocket. It could be, like, the most amazing thing ever.
For. Yeah, it's really hard to do.
My answer is Rogue for StarCraft 2.
All right.
He's the greatest. It's not Mario, it's Rogue. It's been Rogue the whole time.
Jane, you can answer with StarCraft 1. That's okay.
Okay, because I was trying to look for an answer. I mean, I actually watched some StarCraft 2, but I don't know enough. I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm going to go with the Hot Pocket in the sense that one thing I really wished I could do is control my drones really well, like someone like Larva. Because, you know, I mean, especially against, like, stupid probes or, like, SCVs, like, mess around with you. Like, you can do that moving shot micro, and I think that's so sick.
Oh, I can't do that. Yeah, jeez Louise.
I mean, it's insane, and there's times when, like, I played, like, off-race against, like, a Korean Zerg, and they actually trail you, so, like, you can't even, like, I try to, like, juke them out, like, you know, playing, like, a UMS game, like a Bound or something, but, like, they just trail you, and, like, they just hit you. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know.
Dude.
I would take that. I mean, I'm going with the Hot Pocket answer, but
no, that one makes about 100% more sense than Dan's, because Dan's talking about, like,
oh my god,
building and going back to the mineral line. But for us Zergs, like, a fucking zealot shows up to your mineral line. You watch a Korean, they turn into the the Voltron of drones and hit it for like 700 damage, and then fan out and then go back to mining. And I'm like, well, that looks pretty easy. And then I do it, and they're like, and the zealot just like goes to mineral line. I'm like, well, I can never mine from there again. It's just terrible. That's one of the hardest parts about StarCraft 2 to Brood War is in StarCraft 2, the engine's so smart that you grab units, you tell them to go do something, they're gonna do that. When I play Brood War, and I'm like, oh, 3 groups of Hydras, he's got like, I don't know, 3 tanks and 20 Marines, whatever, A move. Back at home, macroing, come back, they're all dead. And they just like hit a wall and we're like, like while everything's just killing them. But then if you micro that fight, of course you do infinitely better, but it's just such a hard difference between the two games, and of course the answers get good. But thank you for the question. As for the parrot shit, dude, I don't know. You have to...
It's a good question, though. Do they have
question.
to practice? I don't think that they really practice. No.
I don't think the concept of practice is really a thing for an animal like that. I think it just
probably
kind of
not, right?
mimics and gets better at it over time. Uterut asks, there's been a lot of interesting discussion recently about machine learning, AIs in StarCraft, including on last week's show when Pig pointed out last Saturday. This is after the last episode. Was Pig on the last episode? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
God damn, time is flying.
Machine has been learning a lot, though.
Obstacles to actually building a high-level StarCraft 2 AI. But challenges aside, do any of you have thoughts on how the introduction of a top-level StarCraft 2 AI would change the scene? If it were as good or better than the best human players, then it would completely reshape the nature of practice and tournament preparation, assuming it was made widely available. Pros could be better served by practicing with the computer so they could keep strategies secret. Also, as players practice with the test, by the way, you called it a computer, it's an AI. And for artificial intelligence communities, you're part of the problem. Thank you. Next question. Also, as players practice with and test strategies against the AI, the metagame itself might start to congeal around its playstyle. Quick side note, by the way, try to keep the questions to 3.5 books. Because I guarantee you none of these guys are following this whole thing. Nobody is. The metagame itself might start to congeal around its playstyle, which would probably be a lot like Serral's. On the positive side, though, it could become a great pedagogical tool.
What's that word mean? I've seen it before.
Now it just makes me feel stupid, but somebody had to do it today. It could even be used by Blizzard to finally calibrate game balance. Hard to say how things would turn out, but do you think overall it would be good for StarCraft?
It would be good for StarCraft. Yes, because it would bring like a lot of attention to StarCraft.
Yeah.
I think that just in general. And as for how it would change the game, obviously I've talked about this before about how it would have to have speed handicaps on it because those are ways that are just unfair. But like for instance, when AlphaGo destroyed, Lee Sewall or whatever in Go, it was some of the things, it changed a lot of the strategic understanding of the correct ways to play Go. And that's probably what it would do here, because you can't just copy the micro or macro. Like we can imagine amazing micro, right? And just practice and try to get good. But you have to take that out because a machine can do things perfectly and humans can't. But it might change things and show, like, for instance, like, oh, what you're supposed to do is just consistently put on pressure while expanding or something like that. And it would probably change something in that area for us. Yeah, good answer. And like I said, it is a great question, but you have to do your best to understand. You got to cut it down to like 3 sentences. Otherwise, you're not, because this happened to me too, by the way. I read this question, it gets answered. Dan did his best. Next week, the guy's like, you didn't even answer my whole fucking question. Like, if you're not going to do it, then don't even read it. And I'm like, all right, yeah. Anyways, so that's not you, by the way, Uterup. I'm just saying, just keep it. And it turns out pedagogical means learning tools, basically, something to help you learn. Okay. So I'm going to steal the shit out of that, and thank you for giving me a pedagogical tool. Right now. First question in the show. Okay. Critter ND asks, so watching KSL ... and saw the book in the audience that you and Nick saw. Show me the StarCraft. Did you ever find out what book was and where it come from? I have been looking and can't find it. Yes. I actually forgot to post a picture of it, but the guy gave me a copy. He came up, he actually spoke in English. Look at that. He signed it for me and stuff, and he's so sweet. Why, did he write it? Yes, the guy who wrote this book was in the audience. So this is a brand new book that just came out. Show me the StarCraft. It's beautiful. Actually, I took a picture of the guy. I'll post it on my Twitter later after the show. But it looks really cool. It's only in Korean. I asked him if he's going to get it translated. I don't think he is. But here, let me flip to a page. See, apparently the book is about like thinking about like military stuff and government and stuff through the lens of StarCraft. So
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks super interesting. Like just leafing through. I guess I'm not doing a good job showing, but there's like some little diagrams that show like units, and yeah, it looks like a really cool book. So I might try to go through it partially with Google Translate and a dictionary.
Cool.
See what I can glean.
Well, there you go, Critter.
But it's called, just to make it clear, it's called "Show Me the StarCraft" by Senwyn. All
right. Wizard of Bob asks, if you guys were in charge of making balance changes or changes to stop the game becoming stale, maybe after BlizzCon, what units would you be looking at changing? So, sorry, Sham2. I'm sure there'll be some questions. But Dan?
I mean, I would actually just say, if we were talking about StarCraft 2, I would stop making balance changes because I think that hasn't been a thing for StarCraft 2 in a long while.
It seems like
it's just they keep changing everything, and I feel like the game can't get to a figured out state because everything's constantly in flux.
Wizard of Bob asked this question, and Sham2 says, "Fuck your question." Dan, can you please oblige our Patreon member here?
I prefer less balance changes to more. I like a very slow approach personally.
Yeah.
What units would I be looking at changing? I don't have too many big problems with too much going on right now within StarCraft 2, to be honest. Like, I think that it's really dangerous to change anything that might be, like, I think the Baneling is basically the most powerful thing, but I think you can't change it because it'll really screw up the game, right? Nothing really comes to mind as something that I really, really, really want changed.
Yeah, I always give a snarky answer to this kind of question, and I apologize because it gets asked a lot. I think for a lot of people it's really interesting for them to talk about what units you would change, and like I get asked to add units to the game and stuff like that. I have to tell you, for those of us out in the thick of StarCraft and StarCraft 2, I feel comfortable in speaking on behalf of like a lot of people. We don't really look at the game and go, God, if they just remove this one unit, it would be so much better. I know that pro gamers on Twitter will tell you that kind of stuff, but if you pull them aside and it's like at least 15 minutes after they just got done losing to a guy that used that unit, they probably don't think it's actually a good idea to change something. Like whenever they're like, God, Hydras are so broken. Can you imagine Zerg without Hydras? What do you do?
It would be bad. It would be
pretty bad. So it's just stuff like that. So I mean, I'm just saying this. You can keep asking it. It's definitely. But I'm gonna keep note. Like of all our guests, I'm guessing you're not going to get a good answer out of anyone. And Dan's such a nice guy that he'll try each week. But it's like watching a person with no arms try to wipe their ass. It's like really hard to do. You have to use your feet and stuff. It gets weird. Hydro. I know Jeff is going to read this in a voice that makes me sound like a clueless, naive 12-year-old.
Whoa! He really watches the show, this guy.
But let's take the gloves off. Do you think David Kim's departure has been good for StarCraft? Game's been on an upswing since his departure, and some attribute this to his departure. The game balance being in a good spot. Dan? Would you like to say that StarCraft's in a good spot because David Kim is gone?
No, and I think that this is stupid. I've actually, since the beginning, been a big advocate of David Kim. I've talked to him a lot of times. I think he really knew what he was doing and was doing a great job. And, like, I thought that his approach to the balance changes was really good. And I think this has nothing to do with him leaving. I think that overall, it's a good team, and they've learned more and more about StarCraft over the years. That's the main reason why the balance patches get better and better, is because they have more data to work with.
Yeah. David Kim got a bad rap, guys. He got blamed for a lot of stuff, and it became kind of a meme to be kind of nasty to him, but he is actually such a nice guy, so passionate. And the amazing thing was, he actually had super thick skin, by the way, for how much shit he got, and he did a good job of not letting that get to him. But the kind of sad thing, I think, and I hope people kind of turn their opinion around on this, it's kind of like the presidential thing. Like every time a new president steps in and the policies of like 4 or 10 or 12 years ago start to actually finally take shape, people are like, wow, this person finally turned it around. Like, it doesn't work that way. It takes a long time to get things moving. And obviously, that's a very kind of simplistic approach to a very complex thing. But my point is, we have a lot to thank David Kim for. So, Hydro, I know you're not like calling for his head or saying anything wrong, but just know, guys, that he was awesome. We really like him and we miss him, and hopefully he's working on something awesome. There's no ill will here. He was great.
And if I may, I think one of the things that you kind of like that kind of gets pointed out here is that there's a whole entire team behind these people. It's not just like David Kim was the one who's just like, yeah, you know what, let's just go do this. It's like there's a bunch of people out there that are coming up with all the balance changes. So like whether or not it's David Kim or not, it's like there's a whole team there. It's a bunch of people that are coming up with balance changes.
It's a whole team of people, and it's just, and some would tell you that they don't matter as much and they're not really that important, but no, I'm just kidding. A lot of those guys listen to the show, by the way.
I'm trying so hard to be impartial here because my name's David Kim and I always get like confused. And it's like it sucks.
Wait, your name is David Kim?
Yes, yeah. My actual name is David Kim. So it's like I had like a couple of tournaments back in the day, and like they're on YouTube, and some of my friends were like, "Oh, you're on YouTube." I'm like, "Not really," but then they looked me up. And they all thought I was the StarCraft 2 David Kim. They're like, "Damn, you're sick." I was like,
yeah. Could have made your handle
These
Davey.
are people, These are people that like don't know StarCraft, so I don't want to go into the details of like explaining it. But yeah, I mean, it sucks. That's why I have the Jayun everywhere. Like even at work, I have that like right in the middle. Just because
you don't have to answer this, but was it your white friends that asked you this question?
No, probably not. But it was just I don't know. I have like the top 3 most common Korean American names in America. I'm pretty sure.
It's a big one. I die every time though when I see my friends.
That's amazing though that we now have a Brood War David Kim. That's so great.
Dan's very happy. Bilbo asks, "Hey guys, thanks for keeping me hard at gym every week."
Keep going.
With your podcast, XX, I'm really struggling with ladder anxiety. What do you mean keep going, by the way? He said, thanks for keeping me hard at gym every week.
I think he means working hard, Jeff.
No. I reject your reading of this, Dan. This guy...
His first language is English, Jeff.
I want to be in Mexico City and accidentally be like, you know what? Thanks for making my penis solid. Anyways, I'm really struggling with ladder anxiety, which then makes me feel like an asshole. And I always end up watching Twitch instead of playing in my limited spare time these days. Any tips on getting over it? I've accepted the fact I'm never going to be a pro gamer, but I still feel like I'm caring way more about my results than I should. Thanks, Legends. That's something you guys can answer. You guys ever dealt with ladder anxiety and have any advice?
Yep. My advice is it's because your data set is so incredibly small. Like if you only play like 1 or 2 games and you're really worried about like losing those games, you're going to have ladder anxiety. But if you end up playing for like 4 hours a day or 5 hours, or if you play like long sessions, you get over ladder anxiety way easier because like you're like, all right, well I lost that game. Well, I'll just go, see what the next game is. And you just kind of build up like a stamina almost for like an endurance.
Yeah, no, I would add like I would say I say this to like some of my viewers because like I said before, the new ladder came out for remaster at least. I didn't care about ladder at all, so I would always say, you know what, like when you play ladder, just don't look at your MMR. Like I think sometimes that's what like really tilts you. Sometimes like you care. I mean, like if you're just trying to get better, I mean, just view ladder as a tool for you to just get games, and then every now and then you can care about MMR at other time when you want to like, test yourself and be like, okay, I want to see where I'm at. Then you can care about MMR. But then I think, I could relate to, like, I actually was trying to get S rank on the ladder last Friday, and I was trying really hard. And this was like the only time I really cared about ladder. And then I started getting like tilted because I was like 2 points away, and then I'd lose like 25 points. And I was like, I'm actually getting tilted, and I'm starting to cheese. I started playing stupid. I started getting like off track, and then when I stopped caring, that's when I actually started playing better. And I would just say, if you can, just like spam the OK button so you don't even see your MMR, and just like just play.
My advice, I actually never really had this, so I'm speaking more from like a strategic perspective as opposed to I did this, I know that it works. But make an account Don't add any of your friends. Don't add anyone at all.
Yeah.
It is a Smurf technically, but I'm guessing if you have a lot of ladder anxiety, we're not really worried about you. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but like you're not smashing on noobs and being a dick. You're probably just, you know, a middling player or whatever. That way, the only person who knows that you won or lost really is you, which is also a part of ladder anxiety and difficult.
Right.
But that's where you take the advice from these guys, where you like, don't look at your MMR, don't worry about it, just get the next game going, and then try to mentally work on yourself in the sense that like it's StarCraft. You're supposed to lose at best 50% of your games. Like ideally, you're supposed to lose half your games. You're playing that game, so if you start to lose more than that, you're not abnormal. You're actually more normal than most people. If you start to win more than 50%, now your results are cashing in and you're actually like a superhuman on some level. So do what you can to be anonymous so that you don't have to worry about anybody knowing, and then put in the work like they're saying. StarCraft's one of those games, and that's where I become the curmudgeon old man too. Like a lot of people are like, hey, I've only got 30 minutes to play a day. What do I do to get better? I'm like, I used to have a game plan and some nice answer from it, but now I'm like, you probably won't. 30 minutes a day, that's really hard to do. Like, and you have to accept that on some level too, by the way, and that's okay. Like, it's still a game. Like, when I read this answer and someone's like, I'm not going to be a pro gamer, that's the first part of it. That's good that you know that. And if you can get joy out of this game and play it, then please give yourself that ability to do that. StarCraft has this weird thing where everyone gets really hung up on, like, you have to be a pro gamer, otherwise you're trash. No.
Yeah.
You can just play for fun.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different answer, but definitely all the stuff you guys said was really good. Anxiety is generally a fear of status change in the future, of your perceived status from other people. So a lot of times this is very ego related. Like in your head, you are of a certain level and you're afraid of losing that. You log on, you lose some games, you're not as good as you thought you were. But and the thing is, people correlate that. Like, StarCraft's a hard game. You have to be really good at it to win, and you have to be really smart to win or something like that, right? So a lot of people correlate that with things like self-worth and self-value, and you don't need to do that, and you shouldn't do that because it has nothing to do with it. You're literally just playing the hardest video game on Earth. And it, like, everyone pretends that they're better than they are basically all the time. This is just something humans do, and try to break yourself away from that and just enjoy playing a very very difficult game.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bilbo. Good question. Some drunk Canadian asks, hey guys, a couple months back, episode 10, you guys discussed with Rifkin and Winter about what it takes to become a successful streamer in the business of esports. Some of the things you guys mentioned was being yourself, not trying to emulate someone else, and don't be afraid to reach out. So I'm reaching out to you guys. I'm looking to do a 24-hour charity stream in November in support of the British Columbia Cancer Foundation to commemorate my 4 years of being cancer-free, and as a way of honoring Total Biscuit, who I still am a huge fanboy of. Do you guys have any further advice on that? I can do what I can do to make this stream successful. Can I bribe any of you with pizza, non-sentient, to host my charity stream for a short period of time? Sending you guys much love from the Great White North. So I'll take that first, obviously, and I will just say, awesome that you're putting that on. And then I would tell you, and this is less in line with answering you directly and more in just general advice. Don't ever be afraid of the answer no, or don't ever be afraid of asking. Like, I know that the risk of me reading this is I read it in a silly voice and be like, of course we'll never do it. Like, of course. So kudos to you for being brave and forward and saying, hey, can I get Artosis flown out to Canada to host this thing? And Jeff, will you do some stuff? And it's like, you know, the answer probably is no, more often than not, because it's not because we don't like you or don't want to. It's because we have other things we have to do. But my now answer to you would be, you know, let us know the dates. And, of course, if we're available, I mean, the least we can do is retweet it or post it after a show or something. Absolutely. As far as us spending time being on it, it's hard for us to do that because it's this is our career. We're professionals, and, you know, we have other things we have to do and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can definitely, you reached out. That's awesome. And just the generic advice of asking, always ask. The worst thing that someone can say is no. The best thing is you could be surprised.
Yeah,
Dan?
That's a very powerful statement for everything in life. When you ask, the worst that can happen is no. But yeah, just maybe message us and we'll talk about it on the Pylon Show. And this week in StarCraft, and give you some tweets and stuff like that.
Do all that stuff.
Congratulations on being cancer-free. It's great.
Yep. Huge congrats to you, man. Benja Death, is this the year of the reverse Artosis curse? Dan, you've been getting some predictions right.
The Artosis curse is not real.
Okay.
I just want to re-underline this again. Okay, so for instance, there have been 2 events at which, because this was becoming too meme-ish, we actually took score of all the casters predicting. Okay, one was an I Am Katowice, where I got second place, Jeff got first place in predictions amongst all the casters there. And the only reason that Jeff beat me is because I bet Revival was going to win a match, and he was going to win in Game 5, and then fucking 4 random Spider Mine or Widow Mines and a random spot on the map, he flew all of his mutas into it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, Jeff, all right, you take the lead, and you ended up closing it out on me by 1 point. But I would have won if those mutas hadn't randomly found those mines when he had the game won. So, okay. The second time was at BlizzCon a few years ago, and I won. Okay, the prediction, the Artosis curse thing is not real at all, and people, every time that I do predict something incorrect, which everyone will do sometimes, they bring it up, but there you have it. When it's been measured, I win. Or, well, Jeff beat me that one time, but I explained.
It comes close.
Weird circumstance with those mines involved.
Yeah. I think, actually, I remember correctly, Dan was, like, huddled over some weird... He had some kind of, like, some chicken bones or something like that laying on the floor.
This is how I figure out what's going. I throw them out of a bag. I throw the bones, man.
He said something like... I couldn't understand all it wasn't in English, but he said something about Widow Mines and Meatless, and then that happened. So I was like, geez, that's powerful stuff. Foot CU 1. Footy CU 1. I don't know. I hope I'm reading that correctly. He asks, what 2 players would make the deadliest Archon mode team? In my opinion, beyond an innovation. Neeb and Stats, Rogue and Serral. Your thoughts? And we can answer this in Brood War way as well. What 2 players would form the best single Brood War player for you guys?
Oh, God.
Flash and Flash. If Flash could clone himself.
Flash and Boxer is the correct answer, by the way. So Flash,
that would be...
Flash takes all of the mechanical sides, and Boxer makes all the decisions.
I would say Flash and Last, actually.
Get out of here. That's a hipster answer. Last. You mean the guy that lost to Jadong? Nice.
I mean, you probably want a macro and a microer.
Yeah.
What if? Okay, here's what it is. Here's the real answer. Okay, SOS, and who's a great mechanical Protoss, like Stats or something. Like, imagine that. Like, you have SOS's brains, but Stats never misses a pylon and keeps all of his units being made. Now that's a combo.
And Patience's aggressive blinks. That's the Protoss.
Yeah, that's it right there. Oh my God.
They're like, oh my God, he's playing mechanically perfect. Blinks
with
forward.
the bad macro of Artosis. Yeah, no, you got it there. That's so good.
All right. Bradadia asks, we only have 3 more guys, and then we'll ask a few questions from the general section. Bradadia asks, what are your respective off-the-cuff first-place predictions for GSL and WCS Montreal? Do you think Serral and Maru continue to dominate, or will we see a new face lift their respective trophies this time around? By the way, my name is pronounced like Jeremiah. Bradadia. Oh, Bradadia.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think Serral will probably win in Montreal. CSL. I think absolutely not Maru. I mean, I always say Rogue. For every tournament, Rogue is my choice, guys, and I will update you when that changes.
Sucks that he's about to lose to Neeb then, I guess, huh? And then Neeb wins the GSL. Can you imagine?
If you'd like to make a bet on that, you can message me after the show.
Yeah, no thanks. It's not my official guess. I do think Serral wins Montreal. I think Serral is quite literally the best player in the world. If not, then he's like on the short list of 2 or 3. He's way up there, and he's the kind of guy that it's not gimmicky, it's not stylistic, he's not getting lucky, it's not even been a close call. He's better than everybody. So if he shows up to Montreal and loses, that'll be the storyline of the last, like, 8 months of StarCraft. And then for the GSL, I default to what Tastosis, Artosis, and Nick have said in the past, which is like, we're so lucky that we have such a high-level GSL right now that, I don't know, you can make a guess, and sure, like, Rogue's not a bad guess. Maru's not a bad guess, but there's other guys that could do it too. Like, everyone discounts Gumio, and, like, he just sneaks in there and wins sometimes. And then there's just so many good players. So I really don't know. My fanboy and blind bias says Neeb. That'd be the coolest thing ever. But he's got Rogue. It's going to be tough. Washburn asks, every Terran unit in most buildings has multiple modes of or functions except the Widow Mine. Is this a design oversight? And would you like to see it have another role?
No, there's enough to do already in StarCraft 2. It does not need anything else going on.
I mean, I kind of always thought that was the point of the StarCraft Terran design, was that like everything kind of deploys and does something in that kind of way. I mean, like, I consider Terran in StarCraft 2 to be the like race of circles. There's like all the circles that you just don't go in. There's liberators and siege tanks and widow mines and everything else. And this is like, these are the circles of death.
Okay. Yeah. Now I have a question we can all answer. And this is the final one from the Patreon question section. MLTY, which I think is like Melty or Multi, maybe?
I would say Melty.
Melty? He always asks questions. Great questions. Reposting, as it got skipped. If you were a sentient cheesecake, would you let your significant other eat you? Jayun?
Damn. I don't know. Yes.
Is there like a severity to it? Like not just a casual eating of you, but like they needed to eat you to survive. Would you?
Then yeah, I would do that. But this is a conflicting question, so I'm just gonna say yes and pass it on.
Dan?
It doesn't stipulate that it's like a life or death situation, so of course not. Listen, I'm a sentient cheesecake, okay? She's gonna have to get me some cheesecake pants and a cheesecake shirt, and we're gonna start watching different types of TV shows, probably baking shows, and life's gonna change, but till death do you part. Am I right?
See, I have a lot of troubles with this question because you're just a sentient cheesecake. You don't then also have a mouth or a way of communicating. Is your significant other another cheesecake, or is that too much of an assumption by me? Is it anything else? In which case, how do you communicate to them your willingness to be consumed? Maybe there is no way to signify this, and they just eat you anyways. In which case, the question's faulty from the very beginning.
Would your significant other even know that you are the sentient cheesecake, that they are a significant other too?
And how did you become a significant other?
That's the real question. I think I love every cheesecake that's in front of me, but I'm not sure if they're my significant other.
All right.
You know?
Okay.
I'm kind of a one night stand kind of cheesecake lover. I'm not really like a long-term thing.
Yeah.
And then this guy tags in someone else for a question. Patreon people are getting really, really tricky with their questions. I'm noticing some interesting angles here. He also says, and from GGE Mini 19, he says, if you were stranded on a deserted island with 3 different StarCraft pro gamers, which 3 pro gamers would you be stuck with and why?
Okay. I got this one real quick.
Go for it.
Okay. First off, Parting and Nathanius.
Wow.
Because I will be so entertained by these two. Okay?
They'd kill each other.
And then probably, I would say Harstem. He looks like he can probably climb a tree and open a coconut and is a strong So
I'll take it next. I'm going to take this a different approach. It would have to be someone like Toss Girl, I think, because we're supposed to repopulate this island. And probably that is one of the best ways to go about doing that. Then I would take Special, because I think in this scenario he'd be one of the first to kind of die, and then that is a food source, of course, but it's also just speaking purely from an evolutionary standpoint, I don't need competition for my repopulation of this island. So if you can see a weakness and see something fall, but I remain strong, then it just sends good messages. And the third pro gamer, I think, would have to be someone like Idra or something like that, because I feel like Greg is the kind of guy who would just immediately accept his fucking lot in life, basically, and do what it takes to survive. I could see Greg shirtless and in some kind of like weird loincloth shorts, wading out into the ocean and then barehanded ripping fish out of the ocean, and like maybe losing a finger doing it, but fuck it, like what are you gonna do, die, kind of thing? What about you guys?
Yeah, you guys I was trying to like go with the angle like, hey, I met Larva at Zotac Cup, he was cool and he was chill, and that was gonna be my answer. And I heard you guys and I was like, all right, man, I'm just I'm just not as creative, and I'm just kidding.
I'd go with Nada because Nada's body, so he's obviously fit, so he can like handle island life. Machine, because also like pretty nice guy. I don't feel like he's gonna like eat me or anything, but also like seems to have other skills
Terrible
other than
pick.
playing.
You picked the ginger on a fucking island out
Dude,
in the
I'm already
tropics.
dead. Do you see how white I am?
You're
like,
both dead. You should have picked Harstem. He's basically a tree. You could stand underneath him and use his shade to keep your life preserved.
Yeah.
Do I have to answer this for everyone? God. All right. Next, you'll tell me Nyokin, which, by the way, he died on the way there. So terrible pick.
Oh God. I didn't have a third. Yeah. Oops.
Jayan, who'd you say?
I don't know. I was going like I said, I was going with the angle that like I was seeing it more from like an entertainment, not like a survival aspect. So I just took like a gag man like Larva or something like that, or I don't know. I have no idea. I actually don't know the personalities very well, aside from what I just see on the games.
Okay. Excellent question. We got one more. Hawk says, "Did my question get answered? Question mark? Question mark?" Looks like it didn't, but thankfully you reposted it. Half question. I would like to have an analysis segment on Maru. Been following him since Prime days and saw glimpses of greatness, but not domination with a capital D like this in his age of StarCraft. How is he doing so well at this level? Also, I wonder how much has to do with Jin Air, ... After the final Pro League win, Jin Air kept support and the team really started to destroy as individuals, ... So, by the way, a question of I'd like to have an analysis segment isn't a question. That's like me saying, like, I like lasagna. It's technically, I guess, a question, but it's also me just saying I like lasagna in a question voice. So you'd like to
I like lasagna too.
I'd like you to analyze Maru. It's like, do you though? I mean, yeah, I hear it. Thank you for the question, and more importantly, thank you for giving us money to our show. You're awesome. But no, there's no answer to your question because it's not a question. You just would like a segment. So I don't... Can you do a segment? And I'm like, yes, I could.
Okay.
All right, we'll do
maybe
a couple.
We'll talk more heavily about Maru.
Yeah.
Get a Terran Pro Gamer on here and talk about him some, maybe.
Whoa, Cobra. Whoa. We're not done yet, bud. Cobra. With the overlays here. Hang on. There we go. Couple more. Cobra's ready to be done, by the way, guys. You saw him on camera earlier. He looks that handsome. He's going out on a date. I can feel it.
No, I was
I'm gonna
trying to let people know the Patreon where they could submit questions to and show them that website.
No, that's too much, Cobra. We're not that kind of show.
Okay, go ahead.
The only person that puts effort in. Jeff's like, shut up.
Whoa! I put some effort in here, okay? Now, I do look at these questions. We're only going to do a couple because we have so many Patreon questions. And we're going to keep, if you're like, God dang it, I really want my question answered, then, you can do $2 a month. And then you can. Anyways. So I'm looking for people that have asked questions, and then I'm trying to favor that, but I do miss it sometimes. The only reason I'm mentioning this, by the way, is because I once again had a guy who's like, I asked a question 3 weeks in a row, it never got answered, I hate you. And I was like, I hate you too. No, I didn't say that. I shouldn't. So I'm looking for questions, and if you guys see one. Polly, who's asked this a few times. After the end of EG, do you see any team with similar characteristics to EG? Cocky, arrogant, slightly villainous. If not, would the scene benefit from that if one would appear? And then they write several more sentences about how it was a good thing. I don't think so. You guys see any teams like EG anywhere?
Bunch of arrogant guys. Well, there's no good American teams right now, so no. Because that's really kind of an American thing.
Yeah, it could be.
It's very hard to get like Korean players or European players to be as cocky and arrogant. Where I've always felt like it's much easier to get that out of the American players. I think it's maybe a cultural thing.
And to answer your question, would it be good for the scene? Of course it would. Villains and personality and flamboyant stuff like that is really good. It's something for people to talk about and to get behind. Haven SC asks, of course free will exists. Why do you think people play Protoss?
Huh?
That is the question. Of course free will exists. Why do you think people play Protoss?
That's a
Get
great
easy
question.
wins.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Alessandra, by the way, does a great job every week of helping fill up the This Week in StarCraft. So I'd love to answer his question here. He says, when someone wins a big trophy, how do they get it home? They can barely lift the thing, let alone carry it down the street to a snack afterwards. So that second part got a little bit weird. But the question about trophies, it's kind of a cool one because it doesn't get talked about. The big trophies, by the way, like the big golden cups and stuff like that, the players very rarely get to take that home. More often than not, like IEM and ESL and stuff, they put their name on it. And I think they might let like their team take it for a period of time. But even that is not every time. Sometimes they just keep it themselves. And like, here's some pictures with it. You don't get to take it home. Big checks you do get to take home. And a little bit of Brood War history for you guys. Skew once won a check. And then famously on the way back, we were just kind of like, what are you going to do with that check? And he's like, I don't fucking know. And then he threw it into the river.
Yep.
Because it's not a real check. And he's a bit of a...
And what, he got third place that year. There was a third place check.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Tosis with his fourth place finish.
Kept that check.
Just
he didn't get one.
Single tear going down my cheek. I'd like to have that check on my wall. Yeah, like for instance, the StarCraft 2 BlizzCon trophy, that's not the trophy they get. There's a smaller trophy that pros take home. That trophy stays with Blizzard.
So you just take it home normally, by the way. Oh, and some trophies they will ship back. If it's like too big of a deal, they'll be like, yeah, we'll ship that for you. But I don't know. And the other one from my perspective from EG, you did get to take that shield home, by the way. When your team won the International, Alex Garfield and EG very proudly displayed that shield, which is pretty cool. And then the players, by the way, it's like, what about the players? They don't get the trophy? No, they just got millions of dollars. So they gave zero shits about the trophy.
I prefer the trophy, to be honest. Screw the millions of dollars. The trophies are great.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just saying how like it's not driven by the money. It's just all about the pride. You know?
Actually, I've got to tell a really, really quick little story. Okay, so there's a couple trophies from various stuff like the Hearthstone thing and stuff out in my living room up on the counter, and my daughter, 6 years old, looked, Dada, those up there. I'm like, oh, the trophies. She's like, yeah. Why don't you ever get any more of those? I'm like, Dada's not good enough at games anymore, little girl.
The honesty of children.
Yep.
Then there's a lot of questions here, and I am reading them. I'll ask this last one, because Bob the Ever-Living's awesome. He's been around. Question, what do you think about the effects of an across-the-board nerf of all scouting in StarCraft 2?
You!
Bob.
Sounds terrible.
Bob,
oh my god, the randomness will go way up.
Bob,
Yeah.
come on, man.
How do you like those dice rolls?
No thanks.
No, thank you.
All right, now Cobra, if you'd like to show them in the future, if you guys want to join our Discord and ask these questions, you can. And if you are really wanting to interact with us and also support this fantastic content, you can become a Patreon member. And I think Cobra's about to pull open something here. I also learned recently there's a delay, which makes sense. But I oftentimes like, Cobra, pull this thing over, and then it's not showing for the stream at all. For like 10 seconds.
Oh, and then you start talking your trash.
Yep,
yeah.
It's happened a few times. That's what you deal with when you have the tremendously amateurish Jeff. But anyways, thank you to our Patreon supporters. I think Cobra's pulling up the graphic here in a second. If you just go to... Well, here's the Patreon page. So 246 of you guys are really lovely. We're at 1,600. Like we said, if we get to 2,000... we're going to start paying our guests, which is, I think, something that Dan and I feel pretty strongly about and really want to do. And then beyond that, I would love to talk about what we can do more with that as well. Of course, there's things like Sham2 needs some money for his tournament. Let's put some there. And Jane's doing a show match and stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing we want to do if the show continues to grow and continues to show that the StarCraft community wants to financially get behind this kind of content. And here's the people that have. So shout out to these people. Thank you all very much. And then I've had a lot of people come to my channel and donate or sub and say, hey, I really appreciate the Pylon show. So just know that that too factors in. Like, not literally. I don't literally take money out of my thing and put it there. But to me, as the guy that's one of the founders of the show, if that's the kind of stuff I hear and get, then that means that I'm like, well, this is a part of my life. I'm going to keep doing it. And that's how content works. So thank you to these guys. That's going to do it for the show. I want to give a special shout out, as always, to our guests. Jaeyoon, you stream. Do you have a schedule? Do you have anything you want to talk about or advertise that people can check out in the future?
Yeah, no, I mean, the streaming, I don't have a schedule just because it gets a little bit tough with work. I mean, I try to stream at least 3 or 4 times a week, just whenever I have time. But there is a North America team battle that Artosis is playing in. I believe that is going to be on 2 days, should be next Thursday and next Friday at 4 p.m. PBT. So if you guys want to see Artosis just crush some Protoss.
Or get crushed. Let's not overbuild. Let's not.
No, I'm just trying to build the hype. You know?
I don't know who this guy is, but he's a Protoss player, so I don't need to.
I think it should be a good matchup. I think you guys are pretty.
Okay.
Who are you playing against?
Kingdom?
Someone named Kingdom?
The Korean?
You should be able to win.
No,
definitely not. Definitely not the Korean.
You should be able to
if it was the Korean, I already know how that would end, though.
You got this.
not.
I believe in you.
Yeah. So,
Check him out. He's on Twitter, by the way, and he tweets his stuff
Okay.
and whatnot. So give him some follows. Good Broodwar content coming out of him. But speaking of good Broodwar content, Sham 2. We never got to tell the story, by the way, of you. I forgot the details of it, but I loved your little drama with the random in your tournaments.
Oh my god,
You
dude.
just came out and you're like, yo, listen, I'm putting this tournament on. If you cross me, I have the power to say stop. What
This
was
is
it
why-
that happened?
So this is why, like, I'm an awful tournament organizer, and I'm just hoping someone else takes the reins from me because I don't really care that much. I just kind of laissez-faire it. But there was this tournament that was going on, and this like random player was playing random through the tournament and taking out names, and I was like, wow, this person might be really good. But they were just like cheesing like ridiculously, and it got up to Chaylin, who's like a really, really good female Zerg player. And she literally, like, we get them like the first game, and she's just like, she literally just says in chat, Sham 2. And I'm casting, and I just go, I know, it's awful. We're like, I've had many discussions about random being in my tournaments. Just be aware that I'm going to probably be removing random in the next tournament. And I said this, like, also, I kind of typed something in like the chat, and I'm just like, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to remove random next tournament. The random player got furious. This person like started flipping out, and then they were just like, fine, choose my race. You know, whatever, I'll play whatever race. It proceeded to then get bodied. And then they sent me this massive
I read that. That was
text that was, it started off with like, how dare you judge me? And then it eventually got to, I don't need your tournament. I can run a $3,000 tournament, which, by the way, everybody in the goddamn world, as soon as they get like banned from my tournament, are like, I don't need you in your tournament. I can run $30,000 tournaments every week and be fine. I'm
You
like,
should ban
I'll
more
play
people.
I'm excited for this tournament. When's it
Oh my
happening?
God.
Yeah, right?
yeah, where is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
ban people.
By the way, none of them actually happened. And then it ended up being like, I only need Jesus and the holy water of Christ and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, how did we get to? Woof, it was a thing. And anyway, I just kind of trolled them for a bit more, and they got really upset. And then I blocked them because I was tired of it. Yeah, my tournaments get some really interesting characters. There was like the 30-page Team Liquid thread about whether or not I should allow Koreans in.
I saw some of that. Interesting.
Oh, that's great stuff.
Well, Sham 2,
Yeah.
not to derail your shout-outs, but
No, that's fine.
what are you up to? You were talking a little bit about your tournaments coming back, possibly. What can people look at?
Yeah, so just my Twitch page and my Twitter will be where all the information is. Of course, Team Liquid tournaments for, also the other posts for How About You. I generally post it pretty much everywhere. And then also I just want to put out an ancillary shout out to CPL again, just because I'm just proud of my buddy getting his tournament. It's getting pretty successful. And then, yeah, so that's about it. Everything SCHAMTOO.
Very good. Thank you guys for coming on. And last but certainly not least, Dan, as always, what are you up to, man? What do you got going on?
Yeah. Well, Pylon Show continues onward. I think you're missing next week.
Yeah, I'm going to miss the next 2 weeks, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, that's okay, though. We're still going to have a lot of fun, Cobra and I. Cobra, I will be messaging you 12 minutes before the show starts with who the guests will be. And that'll be great. So keep watching the Pylon Show. I will stream tomorrow if I can. A hurricane's supposed to hit tonight. And I live an hour and a half from the KSL studio. So there is a chance I will not be able to stream tomorrow. I'll be stranded up there. We'll see. But KSL tonight, the round of 8 happens tonight and tomorrow. So tonight is Rain versus Best and Jadong versus Snow, all best of 5s. And so that's super awesome. Make sure you tune into that. That is in 7 hours from right now on the StarCraft Twitch channel. Yeah, that's it.
Very, very cool. Yeah, and just for me, guys, like I said, next week I'm actually going to be in Washington, D.C. commentating a Warhammer 40K tabletop tournament for the first time ever, which I'm really excited about, really cool. And if you're even remotely interested in that, it'll be hosted here on the channel, and I'll tweet it out, of course. But you can go to Warhammer community, like all their stuff's going to be talking about, so you can see it there. It's going to have the front page of Twitch as well. We're going to try to get some nerds into Warhammer and tabletop. And then the following week is WCS Montreal, where I'll be traveling to go commentate that alongside my fellow nerds like Fear Dragon, and I believe Pig's going to be there, and Zombie Grub, and Rotterdam. A lot of great people putting on the final WCS stop. But then after that, I think it's pretty smooth sailing. We'll get back on check. So I welcome, and I'm so excited about all the jokes about how it's the Artosis Pylon show. And Jeff hardly does anything. I can't wait. But until then, thank you guys so much, and thank you everyone for making the show possible. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our Patreon supporters and everybody else. See you guys later. We'll see you next week.